Hi, and welcome to another edition of the Ministry Journey vodcast. And today I've got Andrea Graham, who is founder of a ministry called Authentic Woman. She's also I can't pronounce it. She's also an ordained minister, as well as a life and business coach. And I've known her for ages. Welcome, Andrea, to the Ministry Journey vodcast. As I explained, I'm just going to be asking you questions about being in ministry. So the first thing I want to ask you is, when did you get called into ministry and how did you go about preparing for it?
That's a good question, Mars. Do you know something? From the age of 21, I would say that I began acting in ministry. So with the family, we founded a church, planted a church.
How long ago was that? Was that 10 years ago?
I was 21.
I'm joking.
Thank you. More like 3 decades and over 3 decades ago.
Okay.
So, from that point, I was training people to run like cell groups. I was leading worship, all different kind of things. Do you know what I mean? But I would say that at the age of 28, when I had my third son, Jerome, I had an experience that blew my mind. And the reason why it blew my mind, Marcia, was this. I just had Jerome, so I left him at home with his dad, and I was just going around the corner to go to the shop. And when I got to the corner of my road, it was almost as if I couldn't go any further. I felt like I needed company with me. I felt like I literally didn't have the confidence. So I went back home and I picked up my eldest son, Ramel, who was 5 years old, to come with me.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly, 5 years old. When I went back and got Ramel to come with me to the shop, I said to God, what's this? What's going on? Why did I feel like I couldn't go to shop without my kids around me? Then all I heard was, you need to get to know you. I realized that I'd lost myself. So even though I had confidence, training ministers, training people to lead cell group, leading worship, and all of those things that I was doing, my being was lost. Who my being was, my confidence is being. We can do a lot of things, okay, and be confident in the things we're doing, but not be confident in our being. And at that place, I didn't get all that there and then, at that day, obviously not. But as I explored and said to God, you know, what's going on with me? Why did I have to go back and get Ramel? I realized that, Andrea, you know everything about everybody else. You know everyone's favorite color, their favorite food, what they're up to, but what is it that you're about? And it was at that point, Marcia, that I started my journey to find me, Angie. That's my pet name. People call me Angie, my family.
I'm going to call you Angie.
Yeah, you can if you want to. Right, people call me, I thought it's a time to find Angie. So I did, to find me. And I set about finding my real self. But then what happened, I thought, oh my goodness, if I'm going through this, how many other women are going through the same thing that I'm going through? And I thought, right, as I started my journey and realized that focusing on me, focusing on God, asking what am I about, what's this about, etc., etc., I then realized that I wanted to help other people. And that's when I really believed that I was called
to do Authentic Women. So when did you have your first Authentic Women meeting?
1999.
1999.
I had my first Authentic Woman. It was a kind of, wasn't so much a workshop, but I had 80 women in Camberwell that showed up. I provided lunch. I had speakers there at the time. At that point, I had Jacqueline Peart came. She was the first one to speak. I had some other people that came down to speak as well. And I actually did a session on where are you now? Where do you want to be? And how will you get there? Okay. And that's the framework of Authentic Woman to this day. Where are you now? Where do you want? In other words, what do you want? And how will you get there?
So your ministry has been going for 22 years, and I know you've had breaks, and we might touch on that. But what's interesting is that your ministry, as you've just explained, focuses on helping women to be authentic and to live an authentic life. Something that we talk a lot about in something we talk a lot about in our, sorry about that, I thought it was on silent. Something we talk a lot about in our society. So I just really want you to unpack a little bit for me what living an authentic life actually looks like.
What does it look like? It looks different for everybody else, but for each person. And that's because we're all unique, as you know. Yeah. Living authentically for me means being influenced by the voice, my inner voice. Now, my inner voice for me is God. Yeah, it's God. So living and acting from that place where God speaks, being influenced by that place, taking action from that place, being influenced, my mind, my whole being being influenced by what God is saying to me each day.
Okay. And
place.
Sorry? And acting from.
Yeah, having the courage to act from that place, because it takes a lot of courage to live an authentic life. It really does. And it's a daily practice, a daily thing.
Okay, let me ask you also, in terms of the women that come to your events or go through your programs, just give me a few examples of the kind of things that they've been saying in terms of authenticity, what it looks like for them. So for you, it's been in connection with God, but just give me a few examples just to kind of unpack the whole thought around authenticity a bit more.
I mean, for women, when women come to authentic women, most of the time they don't know what they want.
Right.
They don't know. And what they have said to me is, even just a few weeks ago, someone said to me, do you know, Andrea, I didn't know I wanted this until I came across Authentic Woman. I didn't stop to find out what it was that I want. I'm living everybody else's goals.
Okay.
Everybody else's path. I'm living the society noise in my head. I didn't take time, Andrea, to unpack all of that and get to my central to hear what it is that I really wanted.
Right. Okay. So your organization, in essence, really helps women unpack what is authentic for them.
It helps women to identify their most truest desire.
Right. Okay.
I believe that where your truest desire is, that's where God sits. Because I really believe, Marcia, that when we were conceived in our mother's womb as a seed, God packs all the stuff in there.
Okay, that leads on to my next question then. How is your ministry helping? I know, I can see, I'm thinking, oh God, I need to be more authentic.
Excited about this.
No, well, the thing is, whatever a woman does in ministry, she needs to be excited about it, because that's what God has placed you to do. So how is your ministry helping people to live authentically?
Right.
And what kind of things have you done over the years to help people do that?
So the main thing I did, okay, let me tell you a real thing, right, which was really kind of cool. So when I did the first Authentic Woman workshop in 1999, I spoke with Jacqueline Peart, because Jacqueline has been a trainer and trained like blue chip companies for years. And I said, Jackie, I'm not a trainer, but I've done this little kind of training thing. Is this all right? She went, Ange, that's really good, you know. You sure you haven't trained with us? I said, no. She went, no, go ahead, do that. It's really cool. So when I did that now, it was after that I decided, I thought, you know what? In order to serve these women, I need to upskill myself. So Marcia, I then went out and searched for a course to do. And that's how I became a CIPD, a Chartered Institute of Personnel Development trainer, so I could serve better. But through that course, Marcia, what happened was that I realized that this industry paid a lot of money. And I said to God, I remember sitting in the classroom one day, right? And we was on the business side, and they were talking about, this is back in 2002. And I was talking about, you can earn £500 a day, £700 a day, £800 a day. I was bringing home just over £1,000 a month. And I'm like, God, could I earn that? I know I've come here to my skills to serve women, because I want to give them the highest value that I can from me. And I said, could I earn that in a day? But I'm earning that in a month. Anyway, that was a question that opened my mind, obviously. And what happened was that I began to pray about my own personal life and said, Lord, I want to raise my boys, but I wouldn't mind doing some part-time stuff just around them. Anyway, cut long story short, Marcia, and I'm saying that to say this, that when you follow God's path, when you live your authentic life, He leads you to other areas that benefits you. Because I wanted to serve the women from a higher place in me, I got trained up. But that direction took me into a corporate place where I began to earn in one day what I was earning in a month.
Okay.
In one day, I was earning what I was earning in a month. Yeah.
What can one say? I just wish that I had known you better during that time. So God led you to greener pastures, basically.
But it was linked to my call, me wanting to serve better and getting trained up to upskill myself.
So how has what you do been helping other women to live authentically?
Right. So what I do, going back to your question, so via CIPD training, I run workshops and I coach women. And what coaching does, coaching is solution focused, as you know. It's also client led. We have the answers within ourselves. And when we ask the right questions, powerful questions, bring out what's already sitting in you, what's already sitting in that seed that God poured into. The answers are there. Do you know what I'm saying? And so coaching brings out of the woman the answers as a coach. Training helps to change the behavior. So whereas I could do a seminar, Marcia, and talk and people write notes, etc., what training does, it gets people to begin the exercises, to begin to practice there and then in the workshops. So that's the reason why I prefer workshops than I do like conferences or seminars. Don't get me wrong, it can change the mind. It's a bit like education broadens the mind, but training changes the behavior. It gets you to practice. So before a woman leaves the workshops, I've asked them, what steps are you gonna take? This is very common now, but back in early 2000.
Oh, right, okay.
Back in early 2000, it wasn't the common thing. But back in early 2000, I'm like giving women you need to write a contract, yeah, to yourself.
Right.
And when you're gonna take this step, okay, by when? What date? How are you gonna feel? Who's going to be there? I get them seeing the picture. And then what that does, the actual reviews is, Andrea, I've done it. Oh my gosh, it just came to me. In fact, I was just sitting there. This person came and said, and this happened. Do you know what I'm saying? So what I do, in answer to your question, is I do training, workshops, I do coaching, and I also just encourage, the pastoral side of me, just encourage people based on scripture, as well as my own experiences. I'm not a theologian, but I know God's word to be true because I've proved it throughout my life. Do you know what I mean? And so yeah, that's how I.
So what role has prayer, faith and scripture played in the development and growth of your ministry?
Everything,
she said, everything.
And listen, right? If I have to connect with God, I've got to talk to him. And I just talk to him. I'm sitting there and I'll be like, God, those are nice flowers, isn't it? My goodness, you made those. My goodness, look at this flower. And every flower that you make, right, they're all different. Look how much stuff you've done. So in other words, like my mum would say, Jamaican slang people, wasi is me. Do you know what I mean? The intricate thoughts and the creativity that you've put in me, Andrea Agatha Graham, in me to do what it is that you want me to do. Do you know what I mean? So what does prayer do? It helps me to connect with God, to find out each day, what's now? What is it now? What do I do now? Do you know what I'm saying? Marcia, if you're not living from an authentic place, you're living dead. You're living, but you're dead. Because living from the place of authenticity where God is, that's life. And that's why there's so many people living with their eyes open, but they're really unhappy because they're living from a place of death. Just going with it. But when we link to God's voice through prayer, we build that relationship, that friendship, that father and daughter thing going on, that real deep sense of, he really is there for me. He really is there for you. Do you know what I'm saying? It brings life and it's real in every situation, Marcia. Even when you feel like, looking at my own situation, even when you feel like things ain't gonna work out, because I know he's there and because I know that he's in the background, like when he was in the background working on, was it Mordecai's behalf? Remember when Haman's setting up their thing to loose his neck, but the king turned around and remembered what Mordecai done on his behalf, and the very loose was used on Haman himself. God working in the background. He's working in the background for all of us. And so because we don't always see what background work he's doing, when he tells us to move, it's important to move because he knows what he's doing in the background.
Okay. So what about faith and scripture? So you pray a lot, connect with God. Faith and scripture.
When I say pray a lot, please don't think I'm taking my knees and go, and all of this malarkey. No, I'm just talking to God like how me and you would chat walking down the street. Don't get me wrong, there's times for walking around my front room in circles, just marching and doing in a different kind of realm for that. There's different, places, different spaces and different reasons for that kind of talk. But faith. Without faith, I can't please him. Sometimes, here's what I do sometimes for fun, right? I've recently done it in a particular area of my life where I knew that my situation could not have facilitated something, right? But I knew what I wanted. So I asked for God for what I wanted, not for what I thought I could get. Because if I move in life for doing what I think I can get, then God doesn't have to be involved. So in order for me to get God involved, I ask him for things that I know I can't do on my own.
Right, okay.
So he's got to get involved.
So you're a woman of faith then?
Oh gosh, yeah. So faith for me is like, okay, Lord, here's what I want and here's what I really need. Let's see if you can do this again. Of course you can do it, but let's see if I can believe you to do it. Do you know what I mean? And he does it every single time. I was saying.
So you like to stretch your faith then?
I have to. It's funny, I was saying to my husband this morning, I said to him, I'm at a place now where there's a place of growth. I was talking to him, he goes, you're just at another place of growth again. So I'm saying to God, okay, what next? How do you want me to rock and roll now? What do you want me to do now? Because I feel kind of bored.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, this morning I was like, I feel kind of bored. Do you know what I mean? But what it is, it's like what hubby said. It's like it's growth. It's because you've got to that goal which God's given you, and now it's the next steps. So for me, I'm like, okay, what's next? What do you want me to do next? Because I'm not one for just plodding along, Marcia, and okay, I can do that. I'll just do that. No. Do you want me to be doing this right now? Just because I was doing that a week ago, a year ago, it don't mean that he wants me to continue doing this right now. So what is it you want me to do, and what do you want me to become whilst I'm doing this?
I think what I'm finding really exciting and talking to women is the fact that when you serve God, sometimes it's easy to think because of the way that the world is, that as you get older, you become redundant. But what I'm finding is that with God, as you get older, so much exciting opportunities, things come your way, things you want to do, and walking on the road to maturity is exciting. Well, I'm finding it exciting. I wouldn't go back to being 20 again unless I could take all my experiences with me. So I don't know how you're finding it, but it sounds like for you, it's the journey of maturity is also an exciting journey and one that is stretching you as well. I mean, it's great to be young and it's great to start out, but it's also great to be where we are as well. I'm finding it great.
Marcia, when I'm on my deathbed, I want to say, Lord, we smashed it.
Look at that.
We smashed it, right? Even though I know that because of how I believe God has shaped us, there's always room for growth. We're always growing. There's always room for growth. But I want to know that on my deathbed, right, I can say, God, we smashed it, man. I believe I've done all that I could do up until this point. I believe that every corner, Lord, is being swept out, that I did what you asked me to do. I want to know that on my deathbed, Marcia, that I smashed it. Do you know what I'm saying? What do I do? And it might sound kind of morbid, but I use that exercise a lot. I say, Andrea, when you're on your deathbed, what do you not want to be saying?
Okay. I don't want to die.
or what do you want to be saying? And when I give myself those answers, I then think, right, that means I need to put that in place, get started.
Okay.
That done, get that done, get this done. I'll get personal with you. I said that about my mum. I remember in 2009, for some reason, it came to me that I didn't have lots of pictures of my mum. I thought I need to get some pictures of my mum. And I also said to myself, Andrea, one day your parents will pass away. We don't like to think about these things, right? But I do go there. And I said, what do you not want to be saying at that point? And I listed all the things I didn't want to be saying. And one of the things was, I don't want to be saying that I didn't spend enough time with her, because at this time she was in Jamaica with my dad. And from that day, I made sure that every year I was in Jamaica, sitting on my mum's veranda, feeling her lovely cheeks and telling her how special she is and how lovely, she's the best mother in the world, because she was, and in me she still is. Do you know what I'm saying? And so when my mum did pass away in 2015, I can say, Marcia, I had no regrets. I wasn't thinking, oh gosh, I wish I did this, or I wish I did, because by God's grace, and I'm really thankful to him, I made sure that I'd put those things and done those things. Do you know what I mean? So in the same way, with life, and in the same way when I speak to women, I use a tool which we call the life wheel. And it's just a circle, you know, paired off in like cake shapes. And I use that wheel to help women to understand where they are now and where they want to be and what it would look like. So they will mark the actual wheel, from 0 to 10. This is a commonly used exercise now, but back in early 2000 it wasn't. And they would mark it. Say, for instance, I say, okay, where are you in your spiritual life? And they may say, okay, I think I'm about a 5 or a 6. Then I ask them, okay, what would it look like at a 10? And when they give me all the details of what it will look like in a 10, then I help them to prepare and create a plan for them to start doing those things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're very practical. Now, it said, as we've just said, running a ministry is a walk of faith, and every ministry faces challenges. What are the major challenges you faced, and how have you overcome them?
Okay, if we're looking at administering or practically doing ministry, as it were, as an authentic organization, one of the things that I feel I would like to have been is more consistent.
Explain.
More consistent in the sense of not having the gaps that I had. Even though I can say, well, I know why I had the gaps, but I would have liked to have been able to have continued, not had those gaps, even though I suppose for most years.
Gaps did you, I mean, you know, people watching this may not know about the gaps that you've had. Yeah. So what kind of gaps? Because I'm admiring the fact that you stopped for a while and started, because many people stop and they don't restart. So for me, that says that you were very, what's the word? Consistent, because you're not saying that you're consistent, but you kept with the vision. And you took time out when you felt that you needed to, but you came back. A lot of people don't come back.
I hear that. I thanks for that. That does help, actually, hearing you say, because I think you're the queen of consistency. You and Claudine Reid, the queen of consistency.
Okay, if you say so. But you had valid reasons. You had children issues happen, but you came back. And I think that's, for me, that is what's important. You came back. People leave and don't come back.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, so I guess that was the main challenge, I think, I would say, has been for me. I wouldn't say, some people say, what about money? Has finances been an issue? Not really. I wouldn't say that finance has been an issue. No, I wouldn't say that. But I'd say that has been the consistency. I think was my main challenge, but I hear what you're saying. That brings about a good balance here. I think, you know, when we set certain standards for ourselves, we think, okay, I should have put a plan in place. So whilst I was there, that could have been running just on a lower level of service, but still keeping it going. You know, things like that. Maybe in hindsight, that's what I kind of think. But, you know, God knows all things, and He...
Exactly. And, you know, you still... I mean, one of the other things that I really admired about how you do what you do is the fact that when I spoke to you maybe some years ago, maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago, and the fact that you had subscribers to your ministry, I mean, that was unheard of for me for a woman's ministry. I'm sure people have done it, but a woman's ministry here in the UK, getting a substantial amount of women paying monthly to a ministry. I thought that was, to me, that was a little groundbreaking. So, you know, give yourself a little pat on the back for doing that. Do you understand what I mean? Because sometimes we're here doing what we're doing, and I did a post about it on social media. As British women in ministry, sometimes we don't pat each other enough on the back. We give all the accolades to the Americans because of their accent and because of their shoes that they... No, I don't mean that, and I'm being a bit glib there, but we give a lot of accolades to American, and I think they're wonderful, they're great, they minister to me as a young person. However, we've got great women over here doing great things to help women be all that they can be. So I just think it's important for us to celebrate what we do, whether we take a break or not. You know, we're about serving other people. So props to you.
It's good. I mean, in Authentic Woman, even in the last 2019, when I restarted the subscriptions, and I've had women launch their businesses, launch their books. I've had women, lose dress sizes. I've had women also enabling themselves to have a better, healthy lifestyle. So much different things that, you know, I've seen women being able to, you know, even through their marriages, just pouring more into their marriages, even just all the different areas of life, more education, upskilling themselves in education and being promoted in their jobs. Yeah,
but you help people in every area of life. And I think it's also important for me to say here again that women's ministries, they are so impactful. I'm learning doing this series. Women are doing so many different things. They're empowering, they're teaching, they're helping people who are vulnerable and disadvantaged, and they're helping people to upskill, get that promotion, get that job, start that business, write that book, be more generous. I think that women's ministries are wonderful. And I know for myself, so I'm going on a bit, that if it wasn't for women's ministries, I don't think I'd be the woman that I am, even if it's just the word that I heard over the years to help mold and shape me and remind me of who God is. I just think that they're wonderful, you know?
I think you're right. And that also takes me back to DTS. Can I mention DTS?
You can if you want.
Yes, Destined to Store, which, for those of you who don't know, Marcia actually founded this organisation, and it helped me a lot. I'll tell you why it helped me. When I was in the pausing stage, and I hadn't quite launched back out with Authentic Woman yet, I just wanted to go to an environment that I could sit in and be amongst women, and just, it felt for me like, you know, when you kind of like, you set the bath, you lay in it, you put the candles, and you don't always know what's coming in you until you get home, sometimes even. And you realize, wow, that was good. That was good. And bit by bit, just being in the environment in a women's ministry helped to almost hold me. Do you know what I'm saying? And stir up what I knew I needed to go back into. DTS helped me to stir up getting back out there. And so I want to just say this to women even now, that if you did have a women's ministry, which you still have, by the way, it's still in you, but you've paused, even during your pausing time, go to a ministry when DTS continues, but find yourself in a ministry where you can just sit down and be fed, be washed, just chill out in it. Do you know what I'm saying? And that will begin to spark you. It will give you ideas. It will strengthen you. Yeah, you can do it. Build the confidence to go back and do and serve the women that you know you're called to serve.
Yeah, I think thank you. Because I just think women are wonderful, and we've got an important role to play in helping our sisters. So you've been in ministry for several years. You're talking like a pastor. It's like the pastoral preaching ministry is coming to the fore in this interview. What's kept you going, and what do you enjoy most about what you do?
What's kept me going in life, or just
in ministry, in your ministry? What's kept you going in your ministry?
I would have to say, obedience to, I know what God's called me to do, right? But it gives me life. When I serve women, giving them the tools to live their authentic life, in other words, living the life that God's called them to live, giving them the tools to hear and listen and get to know God's voice, because that's where it sits, and have the courage to step forward. And I see them get the results. What's kept me going is their results. It fulfills me. It goes back out again. It fulfills me. Seeing their results in their lives. Marcia, walking on the street I used to live in Bromley, and a woman comes up to me and says, because I used to also speak in churches, and says, Andrea, no, she called me Pastor Andrea, and I thought, okay, Pastor Andrea, I didn't know who this lady was, and I thought, okay, this must be to do with the church that I must have spoke at, because I just go by Andrea, do you know what I'm saying? And she said, Andrea, you may not remember me, but thank you so much. You spoke at my church 5 years ago. And it caused me to step out and become a coach. And I'm like, what? Okay. And she said, remember your little book called Authentic Companion? And she said, it was like your quotes. I carried that around with me. I still have it. And it kept me. And I'm like, wow, okay, thank you. So things like that keeps me going. And you know what's really cool about those kind of experiences? I'm sure some of you women out there have experienced that. You know, when you're thinking to yourself, God, should I be doing this or shouldn't I be doing that? Then he just sent that little messenger your way as a confirmation. Do you know what I mean, Mars?
No, it's good. It's good. I mean, that's what it's all about. You know, we are women in ministry. We're seed sowers. You know, God uses us rather to sow his seeds of hope, of life, of inspiration, of motivation, of spirituality. And then when people come back, you see the fruit of God, the fruit of what we've sown. I think anybody in ministry, I have great respect for people in ministry. I think it's a wonderful calling. And, you know, I love your words of encouragement to women that are called but are sitting down, for them to get back up, because there's people out there who need what you have. And leading on from that, that's one person you've shared. Share two other examples of people that your ministry has dramatically impacted.
Okay, there was one woman who, this is going back some time, but that's what's just come to me, so I'll just share that. There's a lady who was in a workshop. She had been abused as a child, and for some reason that stopped her from wanting to. She always wanted to do fostering or foster children, because she wanted to pour into children that may have had some kind of harm, like she was harmed and whatever else. And she came back to me and she said, I've started that now. I've started fostering. I've gone out, Andrea, and I've started fostering. I've got my children. I saw how she was as a foster parent. She wasn't a foster parent. Those children was hers. She didn't treat them as if they're foster kids. They were her children. Do you know what I mean? And not only did she do that, she said, I've also gone into property development as well, Ange. I've done that. That fired and reminded her of what she wanted to do in the workshop, but she set out to do it. But here's the difference, Marcia, with Authentic Woman, and maybe with what we do as well, what I do, it's about accountability. So I walk with women. So for instance, the membership, the subscription is, women are accountable. Okay, so what do you want to achieve within the next 90 days? Let's get accountable. Put it in the chat box. But not only that, I give them resources on my website. But here's this, whatever, here's how you can do it. Do you know what I'm saying? Write this out. Come back, tell us how you're getting on. So it's a holding of hand and walking with them as they develop their authentic life. Do you know what I mean? Through coaching and training. But it's all based on scripture. It's what God says. It's you know. So that was one there. What other one could I say?
I know there's loads.
Yeah. So which other one could I say? Currently, okay. Let's do a current one. Authentic Woman. That's in real time. There's a lady right now. I won't say her name. When she came to me last year, she came through Authentic Woman, because what it is, women come into Authentic Woman. And they can also access my services, the Andrea Graham Training and Coaching Limited, to do one-to-one, high-end, high premium stuff with me. So I just spend all the time with you for 3 months. It's just me and you, and I help you to bring out, get it done in a more faster way. And there's one lady who, when she started with me, she goes, Andrea, I work in a school, but my photography business, I want to get my book out. I want to get all this done, but I just can't seem to do it. I just need help to get it all out of me. You know what I mean? It's like that, a bit like that, right? I'm looking down here because on my screen you're down here. I need to look up there in your face there.
It's cool. It's cool.
But anyway, she came on a 3-month program, one of my 3-month programs, and before we knew it, she'd done her launch for a photography company. Then she said, right, I need to focus on my book. She's now written her book. I helped her to get through to editing, and then she's gone on to a company that can help her to edit it, get it published, etc., etc. That is out. She stays. She says, Andrea, I just want to stay on your programs, because when I stay on your programs, I get things done. You know what I mean? I get things done, and so I'm really proud of her that she was courageous enough to tap into. Do you know what I mean? Her call, and you know what? Her photography business is for parents with children with disabilities.
Okay, that's nice.
Sometimes, you know, this isn't my area, but as she explained, sometimes there can be a disconnect, or, you know, their children don't get a chance to, you know, express themselves because of their disability. So she's given them a chance within her photography to express themselves, and for the parents to be able to experience their children expressing themselves, you know? So so I'm really proud of her that she's stayed on it, even with a full-time job and her children. She stayed on it, and she has fulfilled it. She's doing her book launch in September. Her photography business is up and running, but more so she feels fulfilled.
I think what you've shared just highlights that women's ministries are very much about everyday living, just helping people to excel, tap into God, and be excellent at what they do and achieve their goals. So props to you. 2 more questions to go. Yeah. There's many women who feel called to ministry or who run a ministry. What 3 pieces of advice would you have for them?
They feel called or they run, stay in touch with you. We can get really busy with the doing of stuff and the activities, and I got to do this event, I got to do that event, I got to do that, because it's what's expected, it's what's been demanded, or what we think we should be doing. But stay closely in touch with what God is telling you to do, because sometimes he may give you a bit of a U-turn and say, well, do this now. And because we think, oh, but I've always done that. Yeah, but I want you to do this now. Yeah, so I think one thing I say, really stay in touch. I mean, really stay. I'm not saying cliche, pray to God. I'm saying stay in touch with what he's saying to you today. Not what he said to you last week, but what is he saying to you now, right now? Get good support around you. Get good support around you. I'm not plugging DTS people. Marcia didn't call me on there for that. But commit to an organization where you can network with other women. You're in an environment whereby you can just chill out and be fed yourself, and you can also give within those organizations too. But you know, you're in that environment, so you can stay in touch with what's happening. You hear things, and we are wired to connect. And you are likely to find women in those organizations that are ahead of you. Also, I would say, what I do, I have a coach. I have several different coaches in different stages of my life, but I also have a coach that I'm accountable to, that helps me to stay in touch with the doing side of things, what I need to be doing. Because don't get me wrong, there's things that God asks us to do that we know, but without accountability, sometimes we don't get it done. Yeah. Okay. So that's a good thing. Stay in touch with God. Stay connected, connection, stay in touch with God, stay connected within an organization that you can also get fed from too. We do have our churches, we do have that, but I'm saying women's organizations, it's a bit different, I think. Yeah, it's quite specific, and get yourself a coach.
Thank you for saying that about women in ministry. One of the reasons I did DTS is because I noted that male ministers, they network. Yeah, they connect with each other at events to find out what's happening, to see where the opportunities are. And I realized that a lot of women, we're lone rangers. We do things by ourselves. And I just think it's important, tap into all networks. But as women in ministry, let's come together, learn from each other, learn from those that are ahead of us, and sharpen each other. I just think it's really, really important. And then we understand each other on that feminine woman level and stuff, because there's things that we experience that are unique to women in ministry. So thanks for sharing that. And my last but not least question, what exciting plans do you have for your ministry for the next 12 months? Because you're helping a lot of people.
Do you know what? I am, I would say that I'm in conversations right now about that. But one of the things, I'm in conversations about that. But one of the things that I am offering at the moment is, I'm about to launch the Authentic Woman Lounge. It's a virtual lounge where women can just literally come and just talk about anything. But the structure of that is, where are you now? Where do you want to be and how are you going to get there? So whatever we're talking about, you leave with, okay, here's where I am. Here's what I want. And here's a first step at least to start to get there. So we're going to be launching that, and I'll have different people from within the Authentic Woman Network just sharing on their speciality within the lounge.
Okay, that's good. That sounds great.
And I'm also going to be offering a basic package of coaching package, which is you're going to one-to-one with me for 20 minutes or 20 to 30 minutes, and you'll get one training a month, one group mastermind coaching where it's a group of people and it's individual coaching within the group, so training, group coaching, one-to-one with me, and you have access to the actual Authentic Woman Lounge as well.
It sounds great. It also sounds great because there's a lot of women, Christian and non-Christian, that are on a journey to finding out who they are and being authentic. So your ministry's got potential for inside and beyond the church. So it sounds really, really exciting. So I hope you've taken on board what we share at DTS, that you need to do stuff to raise awareness of what you do and attract more clients to utilize the many services that you provide. Please be mindful that Andrea has her own YouTube channel. So just do a search for Andrea Graham Authentic Woman, and she does a lot on her social media handles. So if you read below this video, it will have details of how you can how you can visit her website and stuff like that. So all the details will be there. Thank you, Andrea, founder of Authentic Woman, an ordained minister. It sounds like you need to get back into ministry, as well as being a life and a business coach. God, my tongue. But thank you for sharing. Really great nuggets there about how to be authentic, how to go about reaching your goals, and just about journeying with God in order to fulfill your ministry mandate. Thank you for watching.